Hey, welcome back to this Doom 3 Editor Series Part 4. In this episode, we're going to look at how to add custom PDAs to our maps, so stay right there. Okay, so let's look at custom PDAs. Now, when we say custom, we're going to actually use the model, the skin, and the entity that's already in Doom 3. What we're actually going to change is the content, and if you're familiar with the PDAs in the game, many of them have emails and audio logs. And also they're attached to certain people, like they're certain people's PDAs. Now what we're going to change is we're going to personalize whose PDA that is. We're going to show how to put in custom emails, and that's where we can put in cabinet codes. We're also going to show how to do a custom voice, and we can also put code in that voice if we want. So it's kind of nifty. It's not difficult, but we just have to follow a few steps very carefully. So let's embark on this journey. So essentially we have to start off with 3 different files, and I've got them here on my desktop, and let's look into them here. So first thing, obviously, what you need is your actual voice file. If you have voice production software, go ahead, do some recording in a microphone and do some recording, and just make sure that they're saved in either WAV format, so .wav, or OGG format, which is .ogg. It has to be those 2 extensions. Doom 3 might play others, but I know those 2 work. So you want to make sure whatever audio file you produce, it's either a WAV or an OGG. Now I just did it really simply. Windows 10 ships with a little voice recorder. So just have it here. You can pop it open. Get your microphone plugged in. You know, you can be a little bit creative. This is John Smith of maintenance. All things are going kind of bad down here. I don't know. People are throwing themselves off of ladders, and just make sure it's about an hour long with the code at the very end, just like in the game. Or you can spare everyone and make it short and brief, and you can put your code in there if you want. Okay, once you've recorded that, well, if you use Windows 10, you're going to have to convert that to an OGG because Windows 10 puts it out in some Microsoft proprietary file extension. Easy enough if you don't have a converter program or a fancy audio program. You could just go on the internet. What I did was I searched OGG file converter, and it brings up all these online converters. They're free to use, easy, fast, so I just popped one open. Clicked on open files, uploaded my file, told it to go out to OGG, converted it, bang, it downloaded it. I ended up with a nice OGG file. That simple, just with the tools I had on the internet and my desktop here if I had Windows 10. And this is the file that we ended up with, and I named it something. You can name it anything you want, but you're going to have to be careful with your names because you're going to reference them elsewhere. So again, name it anything you want. We'll pop it open here, have a quick listen. Okay, so this is just a test for Doom 3. We're going to see if this here audio loads up nicely into a PDA. Who knows if it will, but we'll try. That's about 10 seconds right there. And I'm going to talk over it just to show you that it was a pre-record. Nothing fancy, just something to give us a reference for this little tutorial. So we'll close that up, and that's the first file we have to make. Now the second file, I don't want to scare people away, and you don't want to run for the hills when I talk about coding, but we actually have to code the PDA. I'm going to show you the file. Just sit down, relax, don't get all scared when I show this to you. This is what it looks like. I mean, for anybody that's done any C coding, it's a joke, but if you've never seen coding before, it can look a little scary. Now, I don't expect you to sit here and write this line by line, and I wouldn't do that either. And I'm going to show you a little workaround. So what we did, if you recall, way back in video 1, I think it was, I showed you how to get into the game files and extract them. So in my case, if we go to Steam Apps, Common, Doom 3, Base, yours will be, if you look up here, that's the file folder structure on my particular computer, but yours will probably start with C and Steam Apps, Common, Doom 3, Base. You just want to make sure you're in this Base folder within the Doom 3 game. And if you remember, we looked at these pack files. We chose pack000.pk4. We copied that. We unzipped it, and we had to look at see what was in there. So let's just go to that now. If you recall, I put it in a folder called Doom 3 packs. And if we open up that 000, we see these file folders in here. And in this other subfolder, new PDAs, if we open that, we can see all the PDAs in the game. And I'm going to look for well, it's actually the second PDA we discover in the game, because if you remember, the first one is the player's personal PDA that receptionist gives you. But the first sort of person-specific one is this Mars City 1 Burnesh. So I opened up that file there. And this is actually how Id wrote the PDA. There's the original file. So let me pop open mine right beside it. if I can find it. There it is, yes. So all I did was basically I took, well, let me close this for a minute. I took the id Bernesh file originally and I saved it as, and this is important, in my case I saved it as m1 underscore Barak. That part you can name it anything you want. Whoops, we have to get rid of something here. There we go. So I named it m1 underscore Barak, as you can see on my desktop. But this is the important part. You want to put a PDA file extension, so .pda, and then just hit save to wherever you want. In my case, again, it was on the desktop. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to overwrite this file. But just make sure it's got that PDA file extension. Okay, so we'll cancel that. Now, if you look at my file real quick here, well, okay, we won't do that. I was just going to show you that it's a PDA file format, but you can take it my word for it, m1 underscore Barak.pda. Okay, so what I did was I just changed certain lines, right? This is the original one. This is the one I changed. And you just have to be careful with a couple of things in here. If you're familiar with C, there's certain things you can't touch and certain things you can, but we'll look at it real quick. So on the right here, we've got PDA MC Marcity1 underscore Bernesh. And basically all I did in my version was wherever I had Bernesh, I changed it to Barak, which is my last name, or Tom Barak, wherever we have Adam Bernesh. That's all I changed. So the first line here, I changed to PDA space M1 underscore Barak. And then the name, instead of Adam Bernesh, I put my own name. The full name, I put my own full name. The icon, this line here, the icon, I kept the same. Didn't want to really mess with that. Not sure what it does. This ID obviously is arbitrary because you can see I changed it. So you can change that to your will. I have no idea what it does, but there it is. The posting, Mars City, I kept that the same. But if your map is posted somewhere else, you can put whatever your city name is here. This line we don't want to change. Now, just one thing. In C code, whenever you see a line with 2 forward slashes, that just means that this line doesn't compile. You know, it doesn't get read. It's just notes usually coders put in for themselves and, you know, each other's, just so they know what this line means. We can ignore it. So down here, his title's maintenance tech. I put level designer just to make it easy to recognize. Nothing fancy there. Those lines I kept the same. The only ones I changed was down here, PDA emails. Again, just wherever I had Bernesh, I put Barak. And down here, PDA audio, I put Barak. Just like his, if you look to the right and left, compare those lines, they're exactly the same. Just do not disturb these squigglies. Very important. Don't touch those. If you delete one by accident, this code is not going to work. Okay, so we're on to our first email. We named it here. I'm not going to get into this too much, but okay, so, and then here's the first email. Just make sure this is named the same as this. The date, it could be whatever, 2, because this is Tom's PDA. This message is going to be to Tom from, oh, look, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Yes, the famous guitar player. Again, just a name that I kind of admire, and it's easy for us to see later on that we've changed it. Subject, guitar techniques, I changed that. Text, the squigglies, make sure you don't touch those. Nothing else except the little parts here, right? Keep the rest of this the same. So Tom, just like his, if you look over Bernesh's, it's all exactly the same so far. So where are we here? Okay, and this /n in C code, that's just a paragraph. If you just have /n, it's one line space. So you want to leave those ends in and put your message in between that, basically. You have to try this, get to know it a little bit. Even if you're not a coder, you've got to get the sense of what you can change and what you can't. Okay, so email 2 is just rinse and repeat. So is email 3. And at the very bottom here, I just want to shift it up so we can see it a wee bit better. This little bit here is pretty important, and I didn't change too much of it. Again, here, Bernesh Audio 1, I just changed my name. The name, you can name it whatever you want. They call it maintenance update. I call it excruciatingly long audio log, just so we can recognize it. Info, I just changed Adam Bernesh to Tom Barak. You can see the change is very minimal. There we are side by side. The rest of it I kept the same. I kept this line the same, and I just changed this final line here. And basically you have to put an audio underscore, very important, just type that in, that has to be there, and then the name of your file, which if we look over here, that's the name of my file, right there. So audio log underscore and then the name of your file. So once you have that, you can save it because it's already saved as a PDA, right? So we're just going to close that, and that's our second file right there. Okay, let's close the game one down. I hope that wasn't too confusing, but I think you guys are smart. You'll get what I'm getting at there. Okay, so the final file we have to prepare is this one called audio logs, and that has to be saved as audio log with a certain file extension. If you look at the name, it's got to have the file extension sndshd. I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so this is the file. All right, so you want to probably copy this exactly the same, except again, same line as our PDA here. Well, we saw that a second ago. Audio log underscore TomD3 voice. That's our file name, and then this part is the audio log that we saw in the last bit of code, the PDA code. This line, volume 2, on demand and unclamped. I haven't messed with those. I've seen them in other shader codes, so I just put them in there. They seem to work, so add those. And finally, this is important. This is the name of your sound file, right? Right here. Except you have to make sure you put the file extension here. For some reason, you don't have to put it anywhere else, but in this line, in this shader file, you do have to put it in here. When I was testing this, I did not have that .ogg extension, and this was not working. So you have to make sure you get that. So this is your sound file with the file extension, and then this other part here is very important. It has to be exactly the same way up to here, right? Oops, this part. That has to be exactly right. Sound/audio logs / and the name of your file. You know, you can just pause the video if you really have to, but type that in. And then once you're ready, you've typed it in, you go to File, Save As, and then call it audio logs. It must be called audio logs. In this case, you cannot name it what you want, audio logs. And then we're going to put the file extension, sound shader, and then we use the short form. We put in SNDSHD. It must be exactly like that, sound shader. I didn't type that in exactly right, did I? No, let's do that again. So it's supposed to be SNDSHD. There we go, like that. SNDSHD. It must have that file extension. You must do this file exactly the way I've got it up here. Okay, so and we'd hit save. I'm not going to overwrite my file, but you'd hit save at that point. Cancel. Okay, so we've got those 3 files prepared. There they are. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to put these 3 files into our actual game. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go into our D downloads, Steam apps, common, Doom 3, base folder. So yours will probably be, if you look up here, the file folder structure, yours will probably be C, Steam apps, common, Doom 3, base. So we just want to make sure we're in that base folder or subfolder in the Doom 3 folder. So there we are there. Now we have to be careful here. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to put in a file folder. So we'll go new folder. And we're going to call this new PDAs. Has to be exactly that way. NEW PDAS, new PDAs. Hit enter. All right, so there's our new file folder. Now within that new PDAs, we want to put our M1 underscore barrack file. And that's this one. That's our actual code for the PDA. So we want to take this file and slip it in that folder. That's just going to copy it over. We'll keep the original there for now in case. Okay, so if we back up, we can see within that new PDA folder, we have that code for the PDA. Okay, that's done. Now in here, we're going to do another new file folder. All right, where are we here? We don't want to do that. Oops. Oh, sorry guys. Downloads, Steam apps, common, Doom 3, base. Okay, here. And we want to put a new one in here, another file folder called sound. Just like that. It has to be exactly right. Sound. Okay, there it is there. And within that sound folder, we want to put a subfolder in, new folder. And we want to name this one audio logs. Audio logs. Again, it has to be exactly the same way. You cannot name that what you want. And we'll hit enter. All right, let's back out. Okay, so then within our Doom 3 base folder, we've got our sound folder. So we're going to open that up. We're going to open up the audio logs. And that's where we're going to put our actual voice recording. So let's go ahead and, whoops, double clicked it there. Click it once, Tom. Put it in there. There we go. There's our copy. All right. So back in our sound folder, just in our sound folder, we're going to take our little shader file. So that's this one. If we can open it, this one. And we're going to put that one right there. Okay, so just to recap, We added 2 new folders within our Doom 3 base folder. The first one is new PDAs, and that's where we stuck our M1_Barrack code, or whatever you named it. And then our second file folder that we created is sound, and within there we created a subfolder, audio logs, and that's where we put our actual recording. And then just in that folder, sound, we're going to stick in that audio log shader, right? Just a review. So just make sure all that file folder structure is exactly right. Okay, so let's get out of there. Now, we've done quite a bit of work. Now it's the fun part. Let's see if it all works. So we're going to go into our game, Doom 3. That's going to launch up. Title, editor, and hit enter. There we are. Let's go into our M1 map. Now, I think I might have the PDA already there. I do. Just close your eyes for a second. This is testing here. We're going to get rid of both of those. Okay, so normally we would start with our nice clean map. Okay, so now what we actually have to do is we have to, first off, actually put the player PDA. Otherwise, all this stuff doesn't work properly. It's just kind of hard-coded into the game, and if you remember in the game, the receptionist gives you the player PDA. So we got to start with that one first. So actually, we're going to end up with 2. Item, and we're going to choose item PDA. We're just going to put that in there real quick. And one other little thing we want to do this PDA is we want to add that GUI. So let's go into our entity window. We're going to put in, let's see if it tells us where to put it in. Okay, I just happen to know what it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to put GUI? Yeah, that's it. GUI, not GUIS. GUI tab. And we're just going to go down into our GUI window here and look inside the base, GUIs, and then we want to look for PDA. There it is, PDA, and we want to put that PDA world GUI in. It's just that little one that gets stuck on the outside of the PDA. It looks nice. Should always include it. Okay, there it is there. And did I put it in? Yeah, I put it in. Okay, so that's the player PDA. We have to put that one in first. That's not the exciting one, but there it is. It has to go into the game. As we talked about, you could put it on the player spawn, but we'll leave it on the floor for now. All right, so here's our custom PDA. Let's go back into item and PDA and put that down. Is it hitting the floor? No, it's not. We'll put it down a little farther away. We'll keep it selected, and we're going to go under our entity window here for this PDA. So this inventory name we can leave the same. Inventory item 1, we leave that the same. The rest of it we can leave the same. We're just going to add a couple little things in here. Let's add this GUI, world GUI into this one as well. We don't have to change anything. All we can do is just put our cursor there, hit tab, move our cursor forward and hit enter. Just make sure that it takes, which it did. Again, that's that little PDI here. If you look in the 3D window, it gives us that little animated PDI. It looks nice. I always put it in. And then this is how we customize it. Real simple in the editor. What we're going to do is we're going to go PDA_name tab. And then if you remember, we named our file, that coded file, M1_Barrack. And we're going to hit enter. And that M1_Barrack, if we minimize this, corresponds with the name of that file. Okay, that's this stuff here. Okay, done. Now, I think we're good. The one thing to mention, though, if you are creating these files, say for instance, and your Doom 3 game and Doom 3 editor are open already, if you change these files and save and then go back in the game, it's not going to show up. That is, you have to close down Doom and the editor and reload it again. Because when the game does that, it looks into that base folder and collects all those entities that are in those file folders. So if you do all those changes, save it, you go into the map and none of the changes are showing, you have to restart. I think we did it in the proper sequence, but we'll see in a moment. Okay, so there's this PDA set up, PDA name, and okay, Barrack. Okay, so I think we should be good. If it doesn't work, we'll restart, but I'm sure it's fine. Okay, so let's deselect that. Let's hit save. We're going to go to BSP, compile it, F2, title, and map, M.1, which we haven't typed in yet. Map, M1, hit enter. We'll see if it works. Okay, so here's the PDA we have to pick up first. That's the player's personal PDA. It gives you this little message. Unfortunately, that's obligatory. You have to go through this step each time. It's just the way the game's hard-coded, but it tells new players what the PDA is all about. You just have to wait for this to come up. Click to continue. Done. We'll get out of here. We've seen that one a million times. Here's our custom one. So, and there's the GUI that I was talking about. Nice to attach to it. Okay, let's pick that up. And if we watch it loading, we can see, oh, we're loading PDA Thomas Barrack. Oh, we're starting to see some customization here. If we pop it open, there's Tom Barrack's PDA. Oh, and we can see our audio log, but let's have a look at the emails first. So if we look at our first email, there's Stevie Ray Vaughan, guitar techniques, and it's just exactly how we typed it in that PDA coded little file we prepared. Here's one from Eddie Van Halen. Tells us, oh, I've stashed grenades in cabinet 666. I'll let you know what the code is soon. And we depend on old Jimmy Page here. He's talking about a playthrough that I posted, blah, blah, blah. And his PS, postscript, he says, hey, the code for cabinet 666 is 123. Okay, now let's go into the data, and here's that audio file. Let's select it and play it. Okay, so this is just a test for Doom 3. We're going to see if this here audio loads up nicely into a PDA. Who knows if it will, but we'll try. That's about 10 seconds. Okay, and I'll talk over it just to sort of mimic what we did prior. So there it is. We've got our custom emails. We've got our custom audio file. And it's this PDA is Tom Barrack's PDA. So that's how to do custom PDAs. A little bit involved, but really adds a lot of spark to it. And if we follow the directions, it's at cabinet 666 from a previous video that we did. And the code should be 123. We open it up. Woohoo! We've got our grenades, and we're golden. So there it is. Oh, and if you notice in this map, we got a little pipe here, and that's preparing for our next video. So tune in for that one. Patch, meshes, and pipes. All right, let's jump out of here. So if you're enjoying this Doom 3 editor series, why not consider subscribing to the channel? It really does help us out. Otherwise, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or drop us a comment. Your feedback is most appreciated. Finally, you can click on the notification button so you get alerts when we post new videos. You can always go to the channel as well to see all the videos we've posted up to date. We've got more coming up for this Doom 3 series, so we hope you stay tuned. As always, thank you so much for watching and joining me. Stay well and all the best.